Good morning, coolest coast. It is time for coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Coffee with Kristin and Tina. This is Kristin Odell of Grow with KLO. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio, and we have a special guest with us this morning. We're welcoming back Laurie Crawford with Laurie Crawford Coaching. Laurie, happy Wednesday morning.
Good morning. What a beautiful sunny day it is, right?
It really is. And you have such a zen atmosphere going on around you. I love it.
Why, thank you. I got some help setting it up.
Ah, nice. So, Laurie, we're fortunate because you've joined us before. Whenever we get together, we always have great conversations. And you've kind of shifted your practice since we last talked. And I think that it's a really important segment that you're focusing on. And can we, rather than me like blah, blah, blah about it, can you tell people in your words what you're doing?
Yeah. So I've shifted into retirement coaching for Gen X women. It falls kind of under the umbrella that I've always coached under, which is women's empowerment coaching. And the reason I decided to shift is, first, I'm a Gen X woman and I coach a lot of Gen X women. And I see a lot of things that are unique to Gen X women. And, the age range is like 43 to 58-ish right now. Excuse me. And the other thing that inspired me, y'all, this is going to be really interesting. Might be TMI for some people, but I realized that I wasn't getting what I needed when it came to menopause, and that I was probably in perimenopause and having symptoms and not understanding what they were and not getting the care I needed because I didn't know how to say what I needed, right? I didn't know what was happening. So as I reflect back, I think, wow, what are all the other things for each generation that come up that we're all experiencing at the same time? And now I got to what I needed because I knew how to say what was going on. And so that's a lot of what I see in Gen X, right? Very independent, kind of sort of, latchkey kids. So did a lot of raising of ourselves in many ways. And that independence can sometimes get us in trouble in terms of asking for help. So a lot of coaching is around identifying what we want. So what is it that I really want? Where am I today relative to that? And then how am I going to get there? So it's pretty much the same journey for any coaching relationship, but there are some unique factors for certain groups, and Gen X women are one of them. So I'm excited to continue on this journey. I just started in 2023, so I'm still learning a lot. Started a podcast and expect to expand that in 2024, as well as a lot of my services in that space.
Tell people the name of your podcast and where they can find it.
It's called Design Your Joyful Retirement, and it can be found on any podcast service, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anything that anybody listens to. The most recent one is on joining the Peace Corps. Did you all know that you could still join the Peace Corps?
No.
In your 50s, 60s, 70s?
Oh, really? No.
Yes.
I feel like that's brilliant. Like that's the time when you have time.
Exactly. And all of this experience and knowledge to share.
That's precisely what we talk about in this episode. There's what she shared, the person I talked with, her name is Kate Raftery, that it's mostly young people and then older people because you can't take children. Couples can go. So there are lots of couples, of course, 50 plus. But I found that fascinating when she said people in their 70s are joining the Peace Corps. Mind blown.
Right. Okay. If you were going to join the Peace Corps today, Laurie, where would you hope to go?
Costa Rica? It's just my dream place. Would I end up there? No. Probably,
So I think too, what you mentioned, right? Like the conversation about menopause, for example, it's a topic you never hear anything about. No one is ever talking about it, right? It's not like your aunts ever say like, I don't know, right? Like the next generation above us hasn't talked to us about it. We're not prepared for it. And I think it's so important, right? What you're saying is that you're shining this light on it and you're helping people have the tools to talk about it and understand that you're not going through it alone. I think that's one of the great things about what we're doing here, about what we're doing with the Women's Summit, right? Is creating this community of other women that you can talk about these important things with.
Yeah. Well, it's quality of life. And for so many years, I think my quality of life was diminished because I didn't know what was happening. That's just in one small area. Just imagine all the other areas of life where if we're not asking ourselves the right questions and if we're not sharing and asking for help, how that can affect our quality of life.
So if somebody doesn't know what a coaching experience is like, can you
Mhm.
kind of walk us through that? Like, is it, it's not like a typical therapist experience, right? You're not laying on a couch and you're sitting there with a clipboard. Tell us what coaching 2023 looks like.
Yeah. So coaching is about the future, right? So we're present and future. Where do you want to be in the future? Like I shared before, where are you today relative to that? And what are the opportunities and challenges along the way? How do we leverage your strengths and your values to get where you want to go? And where someone comes up against, I guess what I would call a block, to talk our way through that. And I am not, I don't push as a coach. I meet people where they are. And there are times when somebody is ready to do something and times when they're not. And that's okay. Both ways are fine. And when they're ready, they're ready. And we just keep talking about it until they're ready. And sometimes I might challenge someone, just to say, what would you think about taking on this challenge? And most of the time, they're willing to take it on. Sometimes not ready. So it's just being a guide with somebody and reminding them of who they are when they forget, reminding them of their strengths, reminding them of their values. When they find themselves in a pickle, asking, how does this decision that you're making align with your values? And every once in a while, it'll be, ooh, it doesn't.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm going to go in that direction. And other times it will be, it absolutely aligns. It's a hard decision, but I won't be aligned with my values if I don't go in this direction. So it's really about walking alongside somebody, seeing who they are, and helping them to make decisions that feel good, feel right to get to where they want to go.
How would somebody know if they're ready for coaching? Like, do they wait until they're in a pickle and then they think, okay, I need something? Or, when is the right time for somebody to approach you?
Boy, that can be so varied. It can be that someone is in a job that they're really having a difficult time with, and they don't know if they should stay or they should leave. That's one situation. It can be somebody who wants to grow in their career. It can be someone who wants to start a business, but they're nervous about it. I mean, there are so many things. I would say that if you are really not ready to take action, it's probably coaching is probably not for you, right? If you're not ready to do something different, you may not be ready right away. It may require some coaching to get there. But if the idea is that, you know, well, there are different places other than coaching if you're not ready to do something different.
Yeah, and I think I just want to jump in here because I think it's important to point out, Tina asked about counseling, right? And in my experience as a coach, and Laurie, I think you would agree with this, if there is something from your past that is holding you back or that you continuously revisit, that is a really good place for therapy or counseling, right? You need, I'm going to say, a professional with the right credentials to help navigate that and unpack that. That is different than I have a goal or I'm working on something that I really want to see for the future. And I'm ready to process through what that's going to take and then set a path in motion for that. That is the right lane for coaching.
Mhm.
So I just want to offer that. And Laurie, please add anything that you would to that, just so people can understand kind of where that line professionally is.
Mhm. That's really key. Yeah, and there have certainly been times where it's been important for me to say, this is not my area of expertise. We really need to take a pause here and, um, consider if therapy is right for you. But we're not moving in a direction that's going to be helpful here. So I can recognize it. I wasn't able to recognize it as much when I first started coaching, but now, people get stuck. Then that's part of coaching, but it's a different kind of stuck.
Mhm.
And you can feel it the more you coach that it's just we're not in space that I'm qualified for. We need to shift this somewhere else. And most people are open to that, and they know it already, right? They know that they need something different. They need healing. They need therapy.
Mhm.
What I'm hearing when you talk about coaching is sort of designing, embracing, recognizing, living your best life, right?
Mhm.
Like figuring out how to just really open up and be in that space. And I found this quote I wanted to share with you guys. What do you think of this? True self care is not baths and chocolate cake. It's making the choice to build a life you don't need to escape from.
Mhm. Yeah, so there are two parts to that. As I shared with you when we were, just chatting a little bit before we got on. I'm already starting to schedule my massages for 2024. So there is definitely a place for self-care and lots of it. And the last part of that quote is so true, right? It's setting up a life that feels good, that doesn't feel like you need to get away from it. And that's not just in our personal lives, it's also in our work lives. And I want to share a story with you that I have permission to share that happened recently when I was coaching with someone who's working for an international company. And she had back surgery and decided to get onto a Zoom call or a webinar with her camera off 2 days after having back surgery. Was not supposed to do that. But there are layoffs coming up. And so she wanted to be sure that the green light was on, that she was showing up to everything, right? So we're in a coaching session, and I said, I want to tell you that I said nothing. I was just being there as the observer, as the guide. And she said, my name was my manager and my manager's manager gave my name to the people up above to be sure that I'm not one of the people who gets cut. And oh, and by the way, she was working into the evening, getting up early in the morning, rarely leaving her apartment in a high rise in a big city. And she said, and then I realized it's probably a consultant making the decisions. Oh my gosh, it's a consultant making the decision. It doesn't even matter what I do. And I could see the switch happen on camera where she decided to now start doing things for herself. So she wasn't kind of the opposite of that quote, right? It was where she was just constantly in it and not living her life. And since then, she has been doing all these little things, right? Like leaving her apartment in the middle of the day to go get a cup of coffee or getting a manicure in the middle of the day. And let's correct what sometimes I think is really incorrect, and that is that people who work from home are not working hard. I can tell you that every person I coach with, almost every person, works virtually, and they are really working hard. And what we coach around is how to take care of themselves, not how to work harder, not how to be more productive. So it's a roundabout way to say, yes, quote is accurate, that it's about building what feels right personally and professionally so that all of it feels, this is an overused word, but so that all of it feels balanced. So it feels like you want to go to each place, right? Work,
Right.
personal, friends, family, community, all of that.
So that massage, for example, is a treat and is benefiting your life. Not that it's Calgon, take me away. It's not the escape. It's not that you have to have it, but you get to have it.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah, and I think of it as an investment, right? So if I'm doing self-care like massage, which I also prescribe to, Laurie, right? If I'm doing that for myself, those are days of celebration. Those are days where, maybe I can sit there and just validate all the hard effort I've put in, and that this is part of, the reward for not only working hard, but finding balance. So not being so unwell that I'm escaping, but really just, oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here. I get to just sit in this moment, right? And I just want to mention too, because there's a lot of information out there right now about self-care, and that it has to be in these lanes of things that cost a lot of money. When you think about restructuring your life that you get to enjoy going into work and enjoy your friends and all the things that Laurie's mentioned, setting those boundaries costs you nothing,
Mm-hmm.
except maybe mental freedom, right? You get to give up some of the expectations or guilt or whatever it is that you've built around some of those things and really just lean into the things that bring you the most joy. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So last week we had a conversation with Becky Richards. She was our guest. And Laurie, you're our guest today. And what I want to tell people about is the conversations that we're having. really, I think, kind of supports the topic and the expectations for the upcoming Women's Summit in March. And you're going to be a presenter there, and you're going to be digging in. Can you tell us a little bit about the direction that you plan to go, or, even if you don't want to get that specific, why you're participating in this summit, what this means, what you think that women get from coming together in this community?
Oh, what women get from coming together. Yeah.
I'm so glad I asked the questions.
I think it helps us to feel seen. And when you feel seen, it makes you feel normal. And that you can talk about what's going on in your life and feel that somebody else is there, has been there. Doesn't need to give you advice necessarily, but it's just being witnessed, right? Knowing that, oh, it's okay. It's okay that I'm experiencing this. It's okay that I'm happy about this, sad about this, frustrated about this, whatever the feeling is. So what we're going to be talking about, of course, is letting things go. What do we fill that blank in with? I forgot.
Whatever you want. What's your blank, Laurie?
I know what I would fill the blank in with. So let's see, with regard to letting go. So it can be mindsets. It can be people. It can be people. I've done a lot of letting go of people in the past year, not for any negative reason at all, but because I realized that in order for me to figure out how I really want to proceed here, what I want to do next, that I had to remove the noise. And I mean that in such a positive way. I don't mean to describe people as noise, but I require a lot of quiet. And I'm meeting more and more people that require that, or have recently discovered that they require that in order to be happy, healthy, and be able to really dig into life. So I've done some pruning there, and now I'm kind of ready to add back in. But it's going to be really strategic. It's going to be in small pieces. And then there are, mindsets, and I'll keep sharing examples of myself. So I tend to think that I have some level of control. So I want to let go of that illusion of control. And when things get stressful, I go to things like, well, let's keep it basic. Like, I'll organize my shoes, or I will get things in order because it makes me feel some sense of control. When I think that I can control people, kind of asking for trouble. And I have to check myself, and so I'm working on that. And my daughters are really good, and my granddaughters are really good with being my mirror, because it's really easy for me, especially having teenage granddaughters, to spout off and, give my opinion. And I don't know, do you think they want to hear it? Probably not. And so I get really quick feedback on the fact that I don't have any control, and nor do they want to hear my opinion. So I want to be much more strategic about how I offer what I have to share. My younger daughter is really good, really, really good about, yeah, that's interesting, Mom. And I know that I've stepped in, right? So everybody gives us their clues. And something else that we're going to, I'll keep sharing examples because I think it's helpful for people to think about their own stuff. But I need to be prepared to feel ready to have a good conversation. And in the past, that has made me feel less than. My own stuff made me feel like, gosh, if you need notes, there's something wrong with you. You need to be better than that, right? So I have notes in front of me right now, and I'm trying not to feel bad about that because I need notes. But it's real. It's true. It's honest. It's what I'm thinking. And I want to be able to let go of that. So gave a presentation recently, and I thought, do I want to bring note cards or not? Yep, bringing note cards. We're having the note cards. Nobody cared. Nobody cared, right? So it's all these things that I think people care about that they don't. And also, I think I'm beyond, I realize that people don't think about me or my mess ups as much as I think they do because they don't. They're
Right.
living their own lives just like I am. And so I want to keep letting that go too. And uh, something else is around not everything needs to be done now. So, high achieving women, I know that y'all are listening right now. If you're on here, you are a high achieving woman. It does not all need to be done right now. So, what I mean by that is usually when I'm going to do something different, I am all in. It's getting done now. The website's getting done right now. All the artwork's getting done right now. The logos, the plan for the year, not doing it anymore. So I've decided that's old Laurie, that's past life Laurie, and now we're taking it one step at a time. And I see it all the time in high achieving women. It's I have to get the A plus. I have to prove my worth. So my guess is that there will be a lot of people in the room that have some similar things they're wanting to let go of. And I want to kind of send this back to both of you. And I know we're going to talk about it at the summit. But what might be some things that each of you are thinking you want to let go of as we're getting ready to step into 2024?
I think you kind of described it well. The word I would use is expectations, right? As high achievers, to achieve that A plus, those are expectations we're putting on ourselves. Thinking that people are ruminating on our mistakes, our gaffes, whatever. Those are expectations we're putting on ourselves. When really, like you said, they're just going about their own day, trying not to make their own gaffes and mistakes, right? It's those sort of external expectations that have no validation that I really want to focus on moving away from, letting go, flushing it down.
How do you do with it now?
I think talking about it, right? It feels like when there's something weighing you down and you're carrying it all on your own shoulders, that's a heavy weight to carry. But if you can share it, if you can confide in somebody, if you can have a conversation like this or with a partner or, you know, other folks, right? Then you share that, it like lifts it, right? And then it dissipates it. It reminds me, Laurie, Japanese shrines where it's like a little shrine and there's these long carrying sticks.
Mm-hmm.
If one person tried to do that, you couldn't. But when 20 people all come together and raise it on their shoulders, nobody's doing any hard work, right? And you see them going down the street like this. That's kind of what the summit reminds me of, right? Like women coming together to share together to make everyone's load lighter.
Mm-hmm. And we felt that last year. We felt that last year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
How about for you, Kristin?
Yeah.
So a couple of things. I had the pleasure of hearing you speak at the Dose of Hope. And I was like, oh my gosh, me too. Oh my gosh, me too. Yep, Laurie, I understand that, right? And so much like you, my work on myself and my expectations and the level of achievement that I expect of myself, or I would say that is reasonable, is a constant thing for me, a constant focus. And, for me, like you said, it used to be like all of these things need to be done right now. And I find myself in the new age, maybe this is like a 40s thing, like laying out those pieces one thing at a time, kind of like you mentioned. And guess what? The same sense of achievement comes, or you get the same feeling from knocking all those little steps off the list as you did trying to tackle the big thing. But guess what? The big thing is way more stressful.
Yeah.
So that is just like an ongoing thing for me. And, in some ways, just hearing you speak and share is already like, yep, that's something I need to pay attention to. And at that particular event, also, you talked a lot of just about the interaction with children and what we think kids need and what they really need and all that kind of stuff. And, so for me, I'm going to continue to introspect on those things. And I can't wait to hear you speak on owning your power, because I think it was such a good session last year and you're bringing all new stuff this year. And just, I know you're going to challenge us to really step into like, who are we going to be in the next year? What version of ourselves are we going to be? And,
Well, I really start with the belief that if half of all leadership roles in this world were filled by women, we would have a kinder, gentler, more just world. I start there. And in order for us to be in leadership roles, we have to be grounded in ourselves. And part of being grounded in ourselves is letting go of things that don't serve us because they just get in the way. And they are noise in the way of getting to where we want to be in the future. I was just going to say where we need to be. Something else, just, constantly trying to push that need to, have to, should stuff aside and asking, whenever I hear myself say those words, and I've been doing this for a few years now, I try to replace it with what do I want? Because then the things that I really don't want to do naturally fall by the wayside. And there are 4 questions that I've been serving up lately to myself and to others. And when it feels like it's a lot, when it's a situation, it's a task, it's a whatever, that's a lot, to say, what are you trying to prove? What am I trying to prove? To whom? Do they care? And what is the ROI on my time and energy? Right. So when you answer those questions, I think that for myself, I have the answer. And we can make it really simple. But importantly, for me, it's about women in power. I want more women in power. And I am not shy about saying that because I just think things will be better if half of the people around the table are women. So that means we have got to let things go that do not serve us. And we're going to talk about that a lot. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I like the concept of giving women this permission to be unapologetic about not needing external validation.
Yeah. Yes, because we don't need it. Right. We absolutely do not need it. We have it all internally. We need people. We need others. We need support. We need to ask for help. All that. Did you hear me just use the word need again? Mm-hmm. It's a well-worn path. But we need each other to be healthy, happy, and to be able to get where we want to get in life.
Yeah. And I just want to mention, a lot of times in this day and age, people turn to online formats for that validation or see what other people are doing. And the validation and the support comes from in-person connections where we are physically eyeball to eyeball or heart to heart with somebody, having meaningful connections. And this summit is about getting in the same room with other women and sharing what we share. You are not going to get that validation in the outside world. You are going to get that with your family and your friends and with meaningful connections in your community.
So Kristin, you're serving as the MC for the event. Can you go through who is on the agenda?
Woo, you're putting me on the spot here.
By the way, we are talking about the Women's Summit. It is March 9th, 2024. Tickets are now on sale. You can simply scan this QR code. The theme is let that go, and you can fill in the blank with whatever resonates with you.
So I'm going to do a quick highlight reel of some of those sessions. The speaker announcements have been coming out weekly, so I don't want to blow cover on our speaker announcements that are coming out between now and the end of December. Laurie, yours went out this morning for the group. So we have sessions. Laurie is speaking on owning your power again. Becky Richards, as we mentioned last week, is talking about the 7 dimensions of wellness. Laurie, just so you know, I'm reading notes right now in front of me.
I feel seen.
Giving you some love. Becky Hoffman is again going to lead us through yoga. So I will mention that she was our incredible instructor last year. She will be back. We will have a special art project this year with a announcement coming soon about that. We will have, just hang with me here, body image, nutrition for every body. The pause is meaningful, not everybody. Just, we are going to talk about being brave and what that looks like as we go into 2024, how you're going to be brave. And we're, of course, going to work on what are you prepared to let go and flush down the toilet. Mm-hmm. So was that okay?
That is awesome. Yes. And I'm so looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the ladies that are planning to participate. Laurie, is there anything you want to say before we have to sign off? This half hour was so enjoyable.
Boy. I think that it's really helpful when women give themselves permission to go for what they want. And I would encourage anybody who is even slightly thinking about coming to this summit, if it feels like something that you want, go for it. We'd love to have you there.
I love it.
Yeah, I want to mention too, there's early bird pricing between now and the end of this calendar year. So if you want to put this on your Christmas list and share it with family or friends, this is a good time to buy your ticket because the price does go up after the end of this year. And I also just want to say, because I've had the benefit of having amazing conversations with Laurie, that she is an incredible coach. And the questions that she asks are absolutely brilliant. And she will challenge you and make you think. And so if you are considering coaching and you fit what she does, I support 100%.
Well, Kristin, you are the sweetest. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the great conversation this morning, ladies. You've been watching Coffee with Kristin and Tina. This is Kristin Odell of KLO. I'm Tina Prigge, Vagabond Creative Studio. Our special guest today, Laurie Crawford. Hoping everyone will join us for the Women's Summit on March 9th. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.